Have you ever met someone who seemed warm and caring at first, but the moment the relationship started becoming emotionally close, they suddenly changed? Maybe they became distant, quieter, harder to reach, or emotionally cold. One day they seemed deeply connected to you, and the next day it felt like they were slowly disappearing. They stopped opening up the same way. Conversations became shorter. Their energy changed. And no matter how much you tried to understand what happened, it felt confusing because nothing obvious had gone wrong. Psychology shows that this behavior is more common than most people realize. Some people push others away not because they don't care, but because closeness itself triggers fear inside them. The closer someone gets emotionally, the more vulnerable they begin to feel. And for certain people, vulnerability does not feel safe. It feels dangerous. Many people who struggle with emotional closeness have experienced painful emotional situations in the past. Maybe they trusted someone deeply and were betrayed. Maybe they gave love to people who eventually abandoned them. Maybe they opened up emotionally and were judged, ignored, or made to feel weak for having feelings. Over time, the brain starts connecting emotional attachment with emotional pain. Without even realizing it, the mind creates a defense system designed to avoid getting hurt again. This is why some people start distancing themselves the moment a relationship becomes meaningful. The emotional connection begins feeling too real, too important, and therefore too risky. Instead of feeling comfort, they start feeling anxiety. Their thoughts become filled with fear. What if this person leaves me? What if I get hurt again? What if I become too attached? And because these fears become emotionally overwhelming, creating distance starts feeling safer than staying emotionally close. One of the most misunderstood things about emotionally distant people is that they often care more deeply than they show. On the outside, they may appear detached or uninterested, but internally they can be overthinking every interaction. Small changes in tone, behavior, or energy can affect them deeply. Sometimes they replay conversations in their mind for hours, searching for signs of rejection or disappointment. Their emotional world is often far more intense than people realize. Psychology explains that many of these behaviors are connected to attachment styles formed during childhood. A child who grows up in an emotionally unpredictable environment may learn that closeness is unstable. If love and support were inconsistent, the nervous system becomes trained to expect emotional disappointment. As adults, these individuals may crave connection while simultaneously fearing it. This creates an internal emotional conflict. Part of them wants intimacy, but another part wants to escape from it before they can get hurt. This is why some people send mixed signals in relationships. One moment, they seem deeply connected, emotionally available, and affectionate. The next moment, they withdraw completely and become distant. To others, this behavior can feel confusing and painful. But internally, they are often fighting a battle between attachment and self-protection. Another reason people push others away is fear of being fully seen. Real emotional closeness requires honesty, vulnerability, and openness. It requires allowing another person to see your insecurities, fears, flaws, and emotional wounds. For someone who has spent years hiding pain or protecting themselves emotionally, this level of openness can feel terrifying. They may fear rejection if someone discovers the parts of themselves they secretly struggle to accept. Some people also believe they are difficult to love. This belief often develops from past emotional experiences, criticism, neglect, rejection, or unhealthy relationships. Deep down, they may carry the fear that eventually everyone leaves. So instead of waiting for abandonment to happen naturally, they emotionally disconnect first. In their mind, pushing people away feels like a way to stay in control of the pain. The problem is that emotional self-protection often creates loneliness. Many emotionally guarded people secretly want deep connection more than anything else. They want someone who understands them completely, someone who stays, someone who makes them feel emotionally safe. But at the same time, fear keeps stopping them from fully trusting others. And over time, constantly protecting yourself from emotional pain also prevents from experiencing emotional closeness. Some people become so used to emotional defense mechanisms that they stop recognizing them. They may avoid replying to messages when conversations become emotionally deep. They may joke whenever serious emotions come up. They may avoid commitment, avoid difficult conversations, or disappear emotionally whenever vulnerability increases. These behaviors are not always intentional manipulation. Sometimes they are unconscious survival responses developed over many years. Overthinking also plays a major role in why people push others away. Emotionally anxious individuals often analyze every detail of relationships. A delayed reply may feel like rejection. A small change in energy may feel like abandonment. Silence becomes emotionally overwhelming. Because their mind constantly prepares for emotional pain, they struggle to relax inside relationships. Even healthy connections can feel emotionally unsafe because their nervous system is trained to expect disappointment. Social media has also intensified emotional insecurity for many people. Constant exposure to idealized relationships online creates unrealistic expectations about connection, love, and emotional perfection. People compare their relationships to carefully edited versions of other people's lives and begin feeling insecure, inadequate, or emotionally uncertain. This increases fear of rejection and emotional pressure, especially for people already struggling with trust issues or low self-worth. Another painful truth is that some people push others away because they genuinely do not know how to receive healthy love. If someone spent most of their life around emotional chaos, criticism, inconsistency, or emotional neglect, calm and healthy relationships can feel unfamiliar. Sometimes, people unconsciously feel more comfortable in emotional instability because it matches what their nervous system learned growing up. Healthy connection may feel strange simply because they are not used to emotional safety. Psychology also shows that emotionally guarded people often become highly independent. They learn to rely only on themselves because depending on others once led to disappointment. While independence can be healthy, extreme emotional independence sometimes becomes isolation. They stop asking for help. They stop opening up. They convince themselves they do not need anyone emotionally. But deep down, men in connection. One of the saddest parts about pushing people away is that many emotionally guarded individuals silently hope someone will stay patient enough to understand them. They may struggle to express emotions openly, but internally they want reassurance. They want consistency. They want emotional safety. Sometimes the people who seem the coldest are actually carrying the deepest fear of being abandoned. Healing from these patterns takes time. Emotional defense mechanisms are not created overnight, and they rarely disappear quickly. Healing begins with awareness. A person must first recognize that constantly pushing people away may be connected to fear rather than lack of care. They need to understand that not every connection will repeat the pain of the past. Trust is rebuilt slowly. Emotional safety is built through consistency, honesty, communication, and patience. Learning to become emotionally vulnerable again is difficult, especially after painful experiences, but it is possible. The nervous system can slowly relearn that closeness does not always lead to pain. One important step in healing is learning to communicate fears openly instead of silently withdrawing. Many relationships become damaged not because people stop caring, but because fear remains unspoken. Honest communication creates emotional clarity. It allows people to feel understood rather than emotionally abandoned. Therapy, self-reflection, journaling, and emotionally safe relationships can also help people understand the roots of their emotional distance. Sometimes healing requires revisiting old emotional wounds that were never fully processed. Avoiding pain may protect someone temporarily, but long-term healing often requires facing emotions honestly instead of constantly running from them. It is also important to understand that emotionally distant people are not always toxic or uncaring. Sometimes they are deeply overwhelmed internally. Sometimes they are carrying emotional wounds nobody else can see. And sometimes they are trying so hard not to get hurt again that they accidentally hurt the people who genuinely care about them. At the same time, understanding someone's emotional struggles does not mean accepting unhealthy behavior forever. Healthy relationships still require effort, honesty, emotional accountability, and communication from both sides. Emotional wounds explain behavior, but healing requires responsibility too. Psychology reminds us that humans are deeply emotional beings. Most people are not running away from love itself. They are running away from the fear of losing it, being betrayed by it, or being emotionally destroyed by it again. And sometimes, the people who push others away the most are actually the people who secretly want closeness the most. They just do not yet know how to feel safe enough to stop running from it.